Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation, Monday night at 9:30 p.m. right here on TV1. Nice to have you on board and watching us as usual. I start off tonight's show with a quote from Ronald Reagan. The most terrifying words in the English language are, I am from the government and I am here to help. Is it the case when it comes to Sri Lanka? Are you terrified about the country's economy? Are you terrified that the country's cost of living is going to rise up in the next few months? Are you terrified the way in which this government is moving? Is this government satisfying your vote? 1 year ago, on the 7th of August 2015, you voted in a coalition government. Is the government really fulfilling the aspirations of you at home? To discuss all this and more, we have with us four eminent personalities who is going to answer the questions that will be posed by us about the country's future and about the forward march of this resplendent island. Let me introduce them to you. Joining us this evening is Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardana, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. A very good evening to you. Nice to have you on board after a few months, Sudarshana. Also joining us this evening is Mr. Kamal Nisanka, General Secretary of the Liberal Party. Nice to have you on board as well, Mr. Nisanka. Also joining us this evening is Mr. Rusiripala Tennakon, former senior banker as well as civil rights activist. Nice to have you on board as well as usual, Mr. Tennakon. Mr. Azad Sal, leader of the National Unity Alliance, will also be joining us shortly on the show as well. Let's start off tonight's show with Mr. Rusiripala Tennakon, civil rights activist as well as former senior banker. Mr. Tennakon, 1 year, this government has now been in power. A coalition government is now in power. What is your take about the country's forward march, about how this government has progressed so far? The time starts now.
Yes. I think you started with a very good quotation, Sami, today. But unfortunately, I think we have to take politics beyond the politicians. If we did have somebody here in this forum representing the government or coming from the government side, things should have been much better, because we being members of the public representing various organizations, we have different views, rather critical. We look at things in retrospect to see whether they have fulfilled our expectations. But from the side of the government could have been little different, because unfortunately we have to be satisfied with what it is. So we take politics beyond the politicians. Looking back, we have come to a time with serious concerns expressed by all quarters, just to assess in which direction we are moving. We have come to a rather crossroads in the politics of this country, a moment of crossroads, I should say, because 1.5 years nearly is a long time, or fairly a considerable significant time for any government to establish itself in a proper course. But what we are witnessing today is we are still setting course for our voyage.
Last year has been quite significant, Mr. Nikon. We saw the OMP bill being passed a few weeks ago. We saw the 19th Amendment to the Constitution being brought forward. Then we had media freedom in the country. Then we had the Right to Information Act being passed in Parliament as well. Quite significant moves. This should be commended at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yes. These were all in the list of expectations that the people had in this country when we changed the regime. When the people wanted a new regime to come, a new government to come, a new governance to take place. So these things have been done. But when we look back in retrospect, we can see how satisfied can we be by looking at those acts that we have passed, the bills that we have passed. Do they conform to the expectations that we wanted them to carry? I see a lot of shortcomings, a lot of things that could have been otherwise pointed out by a very active opposition if they were in place. We have missed that. And therefore, true that we have passed the RTI, We have passed the 19th Amendment, but we are experiencing, now we are beginning to experience the lack of a proper assessment and a proper contribution from opposition towards those acts and bills in the way that it should have been. Now we are beginning to feel. Now, for example, the RTI, just to quote an example, the Right of Information Bill, true, it's a good piece of legislation. True, it was a much expected thing that people in this country wanted. True, it will bring some good results, but there are some bad aspects in it. Now take, for example, the Right of Information Act has taken away the right from the people in this country to know what is happening in the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Now, this is something that should have been pointed out by somebody who was vigilant, who was careful enough to observe between lines in these enactments as to what will happen if they are enacted in that form. So now we are beginning to see lapses and shortcomings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sripal Thanakon, senior banker as well as civil rights activist. I now move my attention to Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardena, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. Mr. Gunawardena, what is your take on the present way in which the government is moving forward? Mr. Thanakon is of the view that there are lapses. Do you think that we can be satisfied as people of this nation 1 year after the appointment of a new government? The time starts now.
Yeah. First of all, I'm not from the government. I'm not here to help, to quote you. But yeah, looking back 1 year, I think as citizens we can be satisfied. Because we have to compare the situation we were in 1 year ago or to say 1.5 years ago. It was a complete change of direction. If you look at 2014, at the end of 2014, we have been facing a governance crisis and international isolation, and we were heading towards economic disaster. I cannot say that things have completely changed, but I'm sure people would agree that we have been able to come to a certain way and put up a solid foundation. If you take the democracy front, the constitutional amendments that was brought in, that was a significant thing because that changed the power of the executive. So executive president's power has been reduced, the power of parliament has been increased, and also independence of judiciary has been established. And then we have the Constitutional Council, where the council is empowered to make appointments to the key positions actually in the recommendation of the president, but they can veto. For example, appointment of the Attorney General or the IGP, the council has a role to play. And then we have established the independent commissions, like the Human Rights Commission or the Police Commission and Public Service Commission, Commission to investigate bribery or corruption, you name it. So these commissions, now the commissioners and the chairpersons are being appointed through the recommendations of the Constitutional Council. So you can see a number of changes have been made, and that allow a democratic space.
Mr. Gunawardena, you speak about commissions, you speak about the Human Rights Commission, the Bribery Commission, the Police Commission, the Constitutional Council that has been appointed, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But are these organizations really independently carrying out their task? Are they doing their job?
To be fair, I think these appointments made in September, so still not 1 year has been passed. I think the right people have been appointed in most cases. Appointment was made in a very transparent manner, so people were asked to make applications and then their CVs were scrutinized and made recommendations to the president, and president in turn appointed. But still, this institution have been, compromised for a long time. So it needs time to change course. It needs time to reorient things. So I think if I look at the Human Rights Commission, which I work very closely, I think the chairperson and the commissioners are trying their very best to change course and also reorient the staff. So I think, for example, they have issued.
But they were all political appointees at the end of the day. Can you expect justice?
No, I don't think they are political appointees. For a fact that actually none of these people are known to their political allegiance to this party or that. These people are actually known for their independent character, independent work. Of course, they have been vociferous, they have been taking stances on democracy and human rights issues, but they were non-political people. And this nomination process also, it was a very multi-partisan manner, because that was done in a multi-partisan manner, because Constitutional Council consists of all party and also civil society. You take the composition. You have the Prime Minister, you have the Speaker, you have the Leader of Opposition. Then you have the nominees of the President, Prime Minister and Leader of Opposition and the minor parties. So you have 7 and you have 3 civil society representatives.
Mr. Gordon, I'm going to ask you an open-ended question.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied the way in which this government has acted during the last 1 year?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Sudarshan Gunawardena, convener of the Platform for Freedom Organization. I now move my attention to Mr. Kamal Nisanka, General Secretary of the Liberal Party. Mr. Nisanka, I want to get a different approach to the way in which this government has acted during the last 1 year and few days. Do you think that the situation would have been worse if there was no change in governance on the 8th of January 2015 and on the 17th of August 2015? Your time starts now.
Yes, my brief answer is yes. Now, with the formation of the new government and election of the president, our international relations are very good at the moment, because we were, as Mr. Sudarshan said, internationally we were isolated during the last few years. We should know that still our main export markets are in Europe, European Union, as well as in America, and we cannot forget the market, because international relations are always basically based on trade. So, as we have understood, during the last 4 years, since 2010, the UNHRC has been influencing us and we were being isolated. Last October, we came to an understanding with the UNHRC, and that we had to follow some of the conditions. Like, through the understanding, we had to follow the most of all the human rights as conventions, as well as political rights and everything from the United Nations. So that is one area. And with regard to relations to with India, at the moment relations are very good. And government is, although in the political front there were some allegations against China, as at the present the government is understanding the strength of China, and they are looking forward to get assistance from China.
Mr. Nisanka, you speak about international relations and the way in which this government has been able to strengthen international relations. However, international relations alone is not the answer for a man who is thirsty for some change, isn't it?
No, the change also has come. Change has come because of the understanding. Change has come, I think. Now see this office of missing persons. It's part of the UNHRC understanding. It's part. Even this, even the pollution, all these sort of land issues in the north and east provinces, all these are incorporated in the UNHRC document.
But that means that the government is acting based on the whim and fancy of the international community and not the people. So that means that the government is acting based on the whim and fancy of the international community and not the aspirations of the people?
No, we cannot. We have to consider the global development. You see, we can't be isolated in these issues, because the national issue has it's a global issue now. You know, the diaspora is there.
4 years from now,
Yeah.
the international community won't be voting at the polling booths in Sri Lanka. It's going to be the citizen of this country. So what is the answer for them?
Can I?
No, not yet, Mr. Gunawardena. What is the answer that the government has for the people of this country?
No, the people, of course, people are benefiting from that. My view is that people are benefiting from that. See, because the good international environment helps the people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal Nisanka, General Secretary of the Liberal Party. We are now joined by Mr. Azad Saleh as well, leader of the National Unity Alliance. Nice to have you on board, Mr. Saleh.
Thank you.
After a bit of delay, you still made it on time for your round. Starting off, Mr. Saleh, you were a strong supporter of President Maithripala Sirisena prior to the 8th of January presidential elections, and there was change in the country. Prior to the August 17th elections, you were supportive of the United National Party as well. In this particular forum, you came and you campaigned for the UNP. Why did the people elect a new government on the 17th of August and a new president? What was the people really thinking, in your opinion?
Actually speaking, the people of this country were suffering during the regime of Mahinda Rajapaksa. That 9 years of rule, people can never forget. Journalists were attacked, studios like yours were attacked, people were abducted in white vans, several issues, and robberies, corruption, bribery, everything was so high and people could not bear it up at it. That is why people wanted a change. This change was our topic and we campaigned for that, and at the same time it was only because of Maithripala Sirisena that we could have brought this change. If it was any other person, this change would have not come, because actually speaking, people are now trying to forget the sacrifice made by the president, because being the General Secretary of the SLFP, for him to come out and then come on stage with the UNP and the other political organizations to bring about a change was immense. So we must really appreciate that, and we brought the change.
Subsequent to the 17th of August, it's been 1 year and a few days, to be very precise, 1 year and 5 days since the appointment of a new government. Are you satisfied the way in which the Prime Minister of this country, the Cabinet of Ministers are handling a state of affairs in the country at the moment?
Actually, I think all of us here campaign in a big way for good governance. But we are not happy the way things are moving on at this moment. Today you see Namal Rajapaksa coming out in 5 days. Last time you saw him coming out in 7 days. What is the problem? What is the magistrate trying to say? She is saying that the FCID has not filed this case properly. FCID has not got the witnesses proper in this case. So they have to be released. So she, like any other person, I can't keep him. I can't keep him for long. I have to release him, because it is. So who is doing it? Is the FCID not functioning properly, or the FCID being told not to function properly, or is it a eyewash? That the entire, see, from the campaign that we went, even if you see the last speech done by the Prime Minister in Parliament, what did he say? When he ended up his speech, he said about Mahinda Rajapaksa going to Tirupati and giving gold for his weight. So when you make a statement in Parliament, who is going to question Mahinda Rajapaksa from where this money came? From where did he get that money to buy so much of gold for his weight and give? Whether it is declared, whether the asset declaration given to Parliament, Mahinda Rajapaksa declared it? No. So the Prime Minister of this country is making a statement, and the FCID and the bribery watching at it. No, they should have started inquiry from that day. How did he go to Tirupati? Whose money that was spent? How much money that was spent? How much of gold that was taken? And where is the gold? From where it came? Who is the donor? So there is nobody.
Now, information has come to light, Mr. Salih, with regard to an agreement that has been reached by the Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade with the United States. That is the ministry headed by Mr. Malik Samar Vikrama. They have signed an agreement amounting to $630,000 for a period of 1.5 years. The reason that has been stated for this particular agreement is that the organization, the American organization, has been tasked with building better relations between Sri Lankan political parties and members of the US Senate, as well as aid development of agencies in order to assist visiting Sri Lankan delegations. What does this really mean?
See, Samir, my
Mr.
question to you, you asked me this question. You being a media person, the relationship between the foreign countries and Sri Lanka was at stake. We all know. But at this moment, every country is coming forward to help Sri Lanka.
Then why such an agreement?
At this juncture, why do you need this? See, this is like what Sachin was Gunawardhan is doing, what he did, and today is before bribery, before FCID, all that. Then people were accusing, in that government there was a Malik, there was a Basil Rajapaksa, and Sachin was who were doing it. But you have a Malik doing it now. This is the difference now. As people who voted for good governance, we are ashamed the way things are happening in this present government. Not that everything is bad, but there are things that are bad. Now we have been talking about the VOI, we have been talking about Malik's ministry, how things are moving, how the people are coming into this country dumping money in the banks. 1 year, 1.5 years money is there, no projects are moving. These are things that we are talking of. Then there is no difference. Why is the change?
Thank you very much, Mr. Azad Saleh, leader of the National Unity Alliance, for joining us this evening as well. I open the floor for questions from our journalists. On to my right is Nadine Majid, as always. On to my immediate left is Sonali Vanikabaduke, attorney at law. And on to my far left is Zulfiq Farzan, joining us for the first time on Face the Nation. Welcome aboard, Zulfiq.
Thank you.
Let's start off the show with you tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Shamir. I would like to first pose the question to Mr. Sudakshana. You said you work closely with the Human Rights Commission. Now, recently we saw the establishment of the Office of Missing Persons.
Yes.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was also reports citing the Presidential Commission on Missing Persons, saying that it has not been able to complete all the cases.
Yeah.
So, the tenure has ended of that commission. Now we have the Office of Missing Persons. In your view, do you think those unsolved cases, will there be any justice?
I really hope so, because the Office of the Missing Person is a permanent structure. Unlike the Presidential Commissions, which is appointed by the Executive President and which has a limited time frame and limited mandate, the Office of the Missing Person is a much more independent body. It's been established by an Act of Parliament, and it has independence. Basically, it's like any other independent commissions, like Human Rights Commission. The office will have 7 members, and members will be appointed by the Constitutional Council. I mean, on the recommendation of the Constitutional Council, President will have to appoint. So they will have to look for people with right caliber, right experience, and this office can actually raise funds locally as well as internationally. Of course, it has to come through the External Resources Department, so that will be more robust structure, and there will be a lot of international support for this. So in that way, I really hope and I believe that it will be able to do justice to these unresolved cases, because this problem of disappearances has been it's a plague to our country. It has been there since 88-89 period. So there were a number of unresolved cases. These mothers and the family members still actually, searching for their missing children. So in that case, a permanent office will be really a good solution. It is not there to prosecute anybody. It is just there to actually to help find these people. And also, it's not only for the past, it's also for the future. Any future government who think that they can curb dissent by deploying these disappearances and other means will have to think twice, because there is a office that has powers and also that has international recognition. So I think it's the right step.
Thank you. Mr. Nisanka, we were talking about the government's 1-year record I read a very interesting article recently on online website, which talked about political rights and economic wrongs. That the government's 1-year record has been a story of political rights and economic wrongs. Is it right to separate the politics and the economics? Aren't they both interconnected?
Yes, in the present era, I think politics and economics, you cannot be separated. You can't separate them because we are in a developing country. In a developing country, industrialization, development, growth has to take place under certain circumstances, because for that you need the political authority. Now in Europe, when the industrial revolution took place, things gradually developed, the market gradually developed. But in the third world countries, the industrial revolution or any technological revolution has not taken place. If you take the countries like Taiwan or say Malaysia, Singapore, even China, the political authority, the political leadership should be there. If not, the things would not take place.
But even when you're looking at things like social issues, like the income inequality between the rich and the poor, the gap between the rich and the poor in Sri Lanka is very wide and is widening at a faster and faster pace every year. Now, for example, take the tax policy. This government's tax policy seems to be a bit flawed, in that I think it's possible to even say that they don't have a proper tax policy. For example, the Prime Minister in his economic policy statement had said that direct taxation would be increased to 40% and indirect taxation would be reduced from 80% to 60%. But then with measures like the VAT, this increases indirect taxation and places more of a burden on the poor classes, the poor people who voted for things to change. How do you view this?
Yes, now you see, during the 1977-82, that period, where the growth, there was a considerable amount of growth, but yet the gap between the
rich and the poor.
Yes, the higher classes and the poor classes, it developed, gap increased. That is why the World Bank, by the time they made a report and said that poverty alleviation scheme should be taken place, and Mr. Premadasa in fact attempted to implement that through Janasavi. And this is there. With regard to, even at present stage, the poorer classes are suffering. Even with these tax policies, they are the people who suffer. Now, our tax policy, in fact, our tax policy is very it's obsolete. You see, there is no proper tax policy. There are people who tax should be taken from them, but these people the government has not tapped them, and the people who are paying tax also, they are affording various sort of things, hidden things, and they want to escape or evade from tax, right? So there should be a policy. As at present, there is no policy. Even if there is a policy, with this corrupted bureaucracy, it is so difficult to implement. So the tax reform should be taken from top to bottom. There should be a firm policy.
When you consider this problem, especially with taxation and this government that promised to come in for the people and work for the people and build households, affordable housing, etc., these are all promises that were made in the UNP's manifesto in August 7th for the August 17th general election, and even in the Maitripala Maitri Palanayak manifesto at the January election, when you consider all of the promises that they have made, and when you look at the actions that they're taking, isn't it evident that they are following the same model of crony capitalism that was followed by the previous regime? So therefore, can you be satisfied with the work that this government has done politically, economically and socially?
Yes, the present government, I also feel that the present government is stepping towards crony capitalism. I also accept that view, because you know this government, even this government, the political elite is the same people. They are the same people. So they have interest in different economic aspects. That is one issue. So there should be a complete transformation of the political elite. The youth should come in. The youth should come in. So that is one area. And that crony capitalism or favoring the friends is, it is evident. You take this Arujana Mahendran matter. He is a very close friend of the Prime Minister. But the bond issue was there until the civil society agitated. The Prime Minister did not take.
Mr. Nikon, Mr. Nisank is talking about the central bank bond controversy, and you've been very vocal about it. We saw the involvement of the chairman of the United National Party, Malik Samar Vikrama, on the 27th of February 2015, just prior to the bond transaction, holding a meeting. And now his name comes up again with the new agreement that was reached with the United States of America, where the Ministry of Development Strategies goes ahead and signs a 1.5-year contract. Is someone or group trying to rob the people of this country, Mr. Nikon?
Yes. What I can see is, I don't say that some people are trying to rob the people of this country, but when we look at things very carefully, we have to come to conclusions by looking at what is happening. Now, this is a government that sort of rushed into form to come into this form without performing the initial tasks that they were asked to or they were expected to do at the beginning. Just go back to the 100-day government period. They were expected to accomplish certain things in the order of priority, prioritize those. They stepped into the next government, the next elections, without going through those things. I think I have to start there. The question of the amendment to the constitution, what did they do? They went partly, a half done, a little done constitutional change, which left out many things that they should have addressed at that time. The forum was proper, unlike today. Today they have come up with the problem of getting the support of the opposition, getting the support of the entire parliament. There was a time when the entire parliament was ready to go through constitutional changes. They did not make use of that opportunity. The election system. The entire problem in this country today is based on the electoral system. Whom are we electing into power? The people who have been nominated, who will be nominated by the party leaders and the politicians. They are not elected by the people. The people have the choice of giving a manape, a preferential vote, not to choose the person, the right person they want. What happened to that bit of legislation? We couldn't go through that. So that is why I say we rushed into this situation without going through the priorities. And I think you are right to some extent in saying that they did this deliberately to continue the same state of affairs.
But why, Mr. Nikon?
Well, from what we see today, people in this country did not vote this government into power to see that this government satisfied the requirements of the international community. They wanted certain things done. They wanted certain things happening under their own eyes in this country. Nothing of the sort is happening. Take the situation in the government departments, take the situation in the state-owned enterprises. Is there a bit of a change that has taken place under this government? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Why
the
isn't-
same corruption continues. The same people continue. And very strangely, the people who are categorized as people who have been supporting a corrupt government, corrupt practices, are continuing under this government in the same positions. What is this change?
Mr.
What-
Nikol,
is this
why
the
is it-
change? Is this the change that the country wanted?
Mr. Nikol, why isn't agreements of this sort, like signing an agreement with a private agency in the United States to lobby against the wishes of most of the people, because we know for a fact that international relations are now somewhat strengthened between the West. And in a situation like that, why must the government go ahead and sign such an agreement under closed doors?
Like
Why?
very many other instances, I do not see any justification in rushing into areas like this. There is no necessity for us to do that. As somebody rightly said, well, there is a situation where the attitudes of the international community is changing towards us. There is a better perception in that context. People are looking in a better way at this country right now, at the people who are governing the country in a different way. True, there is no necessity for us to go and repeat the things that the previous government did. If it was good enough for Sachinwas Gunawardhan to engage the services of some foreign agency, but how do we look at it today? We look at it today as a corrupt practice to take money from the government in an illegal way. So when a thing like that happens under this government, how do you want us to look at it? In a different way? And why should we look at it in a different way? When we obviously have an example where we have been accusing people for having done wrong things. When somebody is doing the same thing, repeating the thing, why should we look at it in a different way?
Mr. Salih, why is the government really holding the people at stake when they want to sign agreements of this sort, through a ministry in particular?
Actually, I saw the Prime Minister making a statement again in Parliament saying everything will be informed to Parliament. But when you ask this question, is the Parliament aware of this? So, aren't we repeating the same thing, as my friend said, repeating the same thing what the previous government did? This is not that what the people wanted. People wanted to know everything that is happening. People wanted the right thing to happen. People have gone through hell during the last 9 years. So now it's not, as you say, it's not 1 year. It's 19 months now since the change took place. And where is this? Now the other day we were talking how countries are developing. Now when we spoke about after the Law Asia conference, what did they say? We are going in for e-courts. Why are they going into e-courts? To reduce corruption. They are connecting courts with the crime, forensic, police. All these departments are connected so that you can come to know each other. Every case can be seen and everybody has a right for information
Mr.
there.
Salih, you speak about the Financial Crimes Investigation Division in your opening statement, and you said that the incident of Nama Rajapaksa as an example.
Yeah.
If the Financial Crimes Investigation Division cannot even file a simple case in the court, why must we even have the FCID in the first place?
This is exactly my point also, because last time also when Namal was released in 7 days, why was that? Magistrate had very clearly given instruction to the police that these are the things that I want. Police could not furnish it. He was granted bail. This time, now they say 2 people are missing. They are going to be state witness. Are they going to be party to the case? Are they going to be convicts? Nobody knows. And again he has been released. And see, the biggest problem we are having today is they have been arrested for criminal activities of fraud. But they go to courts like heroes and come back. All the parliamentarians behind them, all politicians behind them with slogans and everything. And they say, what has this Yapalna government done to us? They are only taking revenge on us. We are every day going and coming back. This is the statement that they are making. We are making a mockery of ourselves. People are asking us various questions in this matter. What is the connection between the Rajapaksa family and the present government? This is the question being asked.
Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardena, my first question is to you. Earlier on, you said that we can't live in international isolation. I believe you were referring to the previous government as opposed to the present regime. How do we draw the line between international cooperation on the one hand and territorial integrity and sovereignty which vests in the people? How do these two concepts reconcile? Where do we draw the line?
Yeah, actually, these concepts reconcile if you create the right balance. At the end of the World War II, the institution called United Nations Organization was created, and then the Community of Nations came into a kind of agreement. First, that they believe that every country should have the right to self-determination. So no country should be colonized by anybody else. So that means the territorial integrity, sovereignty will be guaranteed. Two, there should be no interference without a provocation. So no country should interfere into any other country's affairs. So these two principles, if these two principles are respected, there should be no issue. But there is a third issue, because that we have nation states, but within the nation states you have minorities. And these minorities have some kind of relationship with some other country. For example, in India you have Tamils, and Sri Lanka also have Tamils. And Tamils are a minority here. So that's a linkage. So therefore the third principle is to respect, protect and fulfill human rights of the people who live in that territory. So therefore United Nations was found on all these three principles. So there are international law, international human rights law that has been developed to actually keep peace in the world. Now you have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Every country is part and parcel of that, and it has become customary international law. Then you have various covenants, including International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and so on and so forth. So we have become party to these agreements. So nobody
in the Sri
forced
Lankan
us.
context,
Yeah.
Mr. Gunawardena, how
Yeah.
does this apply?
See,
because the consensual resolution which was adopted
Yeah.
spoke very clearly about an office on missing persons being appointed,
Yes.
and it was done just 2 weeks ago. So where do we draw the line?
No, let me say that how this resolution came in. Now in 2012 there was a resolution. It was sponsored by the United States of America with some other countries, and that resolution asked Sri Lankan government to cooperate, and that resolution was asking government to implement its own LLRC report. But government did not want to cooperate. So then there was subsequent resolution 2013 and 14, and 14 resolution saw that since Sri Lankan government is not fulfilling their obligation under international law, they were recommending international investigation. So new government came in and they brought a new proposal, and they say that this is a new government. New government was brought in with the support of all the people. So we will have our own formula. We will have our national solution to this problem. So this consensus resolution was based on Sri Lankan government's proposal. It was not anybody else's proposal. Sri Lankan foreign minister on behalf of Sri Lankan government proposed that we will have 4-pillar mechanism based on truth, justice, reparations and guarantees for non-recurrence. So OMP, or Office of the Missing Person, is based on that agreement. That is actually not based on the Geneva resolution. It's based on our obligations to the international law under various covenant and conventions. So I think this is perfectly, we are guaranteeing our sovereignty of the nation as well as sovereignty of the people.
Mr. Nisanka, do you think, in your opinion, that Sri Lanka is merely dancing to the tune of the international community, or that we are protecting the country's sovereignty?
Are we protecting country's sovereignty, or are we dancing to the international community's?
No, I don't think that we are dancing to the international community's whims and fancies. Sovereignty, you see, now question of sovereignty differs in different periods. Now, if there is a dictator in a country, and the dictator is not he's anti-democratic, and he's making lot of problems to the people. You see, they may send white vans, right? Abductions, killing journalists, killing political opponents. Likewise, so if a dictator is behaving in that manner, the international community has a right to interfere. So in Sri Lanka, I think after 2010, this sort of things took place. So from the international, there is an interest, the international community also has an obligation towards the people of the country. So in that sense, the sovereignty becomes an issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nisanka, for your thoughts as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Sali. Thank you very much, Mr. Tendakon, Mr. Gunawardana, as well as Mr. Nisanka, for your thoughts on the first and second round. We're now going for a short commercial break. When we come back, we will speak about the statement that was made by President Maithripala Sirisena in Mathura. What did he say, and how is it going to affect the country's future political stability? All this and more after the short commercial break. Stay connected. Stay with Face the Nation. Welcome back. This is Face the Nation. What is Sri Lanka's future going to be? 1 year and 5 days after a new government was appointed, where is Sri Lanka really heading? To discuss all this and more, we have 4 eminent personalities in the studios as usual. Let's move on to our third round. Misali, President Maithripala Sirisena 5 days ago in Mathura said that he is ready to expose the truth about members of the former government who are looking to form a new political alliance. Now, you are an individual who supported President Maithripala Sirisena's candidature as well as his campaign prior to the 8th of January 2015 polls. Why is it that the President is issuing a warning and not telling the people who these perpetrators are and what sort of corruptions were they involved in? Why?
Actually speaking, Samir, President Maithripala Sirisena, I think he gave all possible options to this group, the so-called Vipaksha, this joint opposition. He gave them time and they were not heeding. One way was to remove all of them from the organizers' post. When the majority was removed, the others volunteered because they know the next letter is going to be for them. They all resigned. Then about the political party, like after President took office also, there were a lot of things that happened which the public did not know. We all thought Maithripala, after becoming the President, wanted the SLP leadership. No, he did not want it. But it was given by the former President. He invited him for a discussion. He wanted him to come to the Speaker's house. There they discussed. All the senior ministers were downstairs when the Speaker and President Maithripala Sirisena and my former President Mahinda Rajapaksa went up and discussed and said, please take over the party. He did not want it by force. So it was given to him. After giving, they were trying to pull his leg. Now what happened? Now they were again trying to form a political party to give a challenge to the President. So he, being not only being the President, he was a cabinet minister of Rajapaksa's regime also. He knows in and out of everything that had taken place. Out of that, only 50% of it he would have mentioned it in public. He knows a lot of other things that he has not exposed. So he has given them a warning. I will come out with everything that is needed if you start with a political party.
But why?
Today I saw Mahinda Rajapaksa replying. I saw on your TV itself that this is not to me. He is not making anything to me. I am not into it. We are still thinking whether we are going for the SLP. See, they say we are not going for the convention. That was told openly. But today they say we are having a special meeting under the leadership of Mahinda Rajapaksa to discuss whether we are going for the convention. So where it has come to?
Mr. Saleh, just after the elections, your government, the new government, said that they have a 100-day program and the names of the corrupt will be revealed. Yes or no?
Yes.
However, the president seems to be holding some information close to his heart and not putting the names out. Why is this? That's my question to you.
That I can't answer to that question, because I also feel that everybody, whoever who has given up promises to the public, has to come out. Even the good governance, we said, is all perpetrators will be brought to justice, but which is not happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azad, leader of the National Unity Alliance. I now move my attention to Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardana, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. Mr. Gunawardana, we saw over the last few months people being arrested, people being granted bail, people going back to courts again being arrested and being further remanded, and then again being granted bail. This applies very much to the Rajapaksas of this country. We saw this happening to Basil Rajapaksa, we saw this happening to Namal Rajapaksa, then we saw this happening to Yoshida Rajapaksa as well. We see this public gimmick happening right now. Where is the real justice behind this, and where is the real meat behind this? Where can we see justice really coming out and the real perpetrators being imprisoned? Why is justice taking so long?
That's a really valid question. We know justice delayed is justice denied. So people are getting frustrated because they expect some swift results. They won't know who robbed their nation's wealth. They won't know why they have become so poor and destitute because somebody has taken the wealth away. But the problem is that we have to see this as a transition period. Okay, we were in a near dictatorship, a constitutional dictatorship. Our institutions have been politicized. The police, the Attorney General's department, everything came under executive presidency. So to make changes, it took some time. And now there are issues. One is that we are having problems with the lack of personnel who are qualified to handle the investigations. And we have a short of personnel in the Attorney General's department. And there are political allegiances here and there. And also, and look at the big picture, there's politics also. So I think things are slowing down. It's not the best interest of the people. But I see one difference. Earlier, that everything was politicized, so the executive could decide who's going to jail, who's not, or who's been prosecuted, who is not. But here now, you have Independent Police Commission, and you have IGP appointed not by the executive itself, but through a bipartisan, multi-partisan approach, a constitutional council. So police has a certain freedom, certain independence. So therefore, I think things are going in the right direction, but even though it's not going as much as we wanted.
So you say that you are satisfied the way in which the government has progressed. In one of my questions earlier, an open-ended question, you said yes. However, now you say that you are not really satisfied because they are slowing down, there are several lapses. Which one of the two are you in favor of? Are they doing a good job, or are they not doing a good job?
No, I still maintain they are doing their job.
They are doing their job.
If you take the bigger picture, they are doing their job. We are in the right direction. But there are shortcomings in various issues, and we have to see.
Where are the shortcomings really?
Especially the justice. For example, justice is the one issue, because there's a delay. So that you have to see whether the delay is because there's lack of political will or lack of resources and other matters. And if you look at the accountability issue, for example, a killing of journalists, like Rahanthi Wickratunga assassination and attacking this very station, and Pragit Teknali got abduction and disappearances, various other things. There's also delay. So therefore, I think that delay is mainly due to the institutional problems. But we must be vigilant, and we must look at things from that perspective and always raise these issues. That's how we should keep things going. I'm not saying for the moment everything is rosy, but I only see there's a certain agenda that we have been proposing and we have been promoting as civil society. That agenda has been accepted by the government. So basically that's why I'm satisfied and I see. But there's a lot of work need to be done.
Thank you very much, Sudarshana Gunawardana, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. We are now moving our attention to Mr. Kamal Nisanka, General Secretary of the Liberal Party. Mr. Nisanka, Your party, the Liberal Party, who does your party really support right now? Is it President Maithripala Sirisena? Is it former President Mahinda Rajapaksa? Or is it United National Party?
In fact, we have been supporting Mr. Maithripala Sirisena since 2014.
And then your party all supported President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2005 as well as in 2010 we supported him. But with the introduction of the 18th Amendment, there was a difference of opinion in the party. I personally, myself and Mr. Stephen, Anand Stephen, our national organizer, we opposed the 18th Amendment. We thought, we understood that with the 18th Amendment, the dictatorial tendencies of the government would take place, and the commissions were abolished. I think and President or the Rajapaksa familial rule. That was a project that they introduced through the 18th Amendment.
Did your former leader of your party vote in favor or against the
yes,
18th Amendment to the Constitution?
Former leader was appointed as a nationalist MP in 2010. I think after a few months, this particular legislation was introduced. So I think he had to act, I think, according to the views and fancies of the president. So he had supported, but when Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranayake issue was taken up, I was really with the Bar Association and other organizations against the impeachment. To his credit, Professor Vijay Singha absconded from voting. He didn't vote for the bill, for the impeachment motion.
My question is very simple to you. Prior to the 8th of January polls, you all supported President Maithripala Sirisena, am I right?
Prior to?
Yes, prior to the 8th of January polls, you all supported Maithripala Sirisena's candidature.
Yes.
Yeah. Prior to the August 17th elections, you all supported former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's campaign.
No, in fact,
who did you all support?
No. In that situation, Professor Vijay Singha, again, he was able to get the nationalist candidacy, but he was leaning towards Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. That is true. At the time of the nominations, Mr. Mahinda Rajas, he had the upper hand, in fact. So
your party is supporting those who have the upper hand in the election without considering policy.
So we had the split at that moment. So as we didn't have any formal agreement with the UPFA, we had the informal agreement.
Who are you supporting now?
At the moment?
Yeah.
At the moment we have not yet decided, but still we stand by the decision taken in 2014 December. So we are President Maithripala Sirisena is friendly with us. So they have come.
Friendly in politics is a very subjective word, Mr. Nisanka.
That means that he has called us for form an alliance. Number of parties, 15 parties have been called. So we are in the process of discussions.
You may support President Maithripala Sirisena because you all will have the upper hand and you all will get some benefits. Is that why?
Not that. Because traditionally we have been with the SLFP. Traditionally,
I'm trying to figure out the policy of your party, Mr. Nisanka. Is your party in favor of President Maithripala Sirisena's vision? Is your party in favor of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party? Or what exactly? Which side are you in?
No, in fact, Sri Lanka Freedom Party is split now, I think. It is split. So we are with Maithripala Sirisena.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nisanka, for your thoughts as well. We now move our attention to Mr. Risirpal Thenakon, former senior banker. Mr. Thenakon, you are a banker, and prior to the August 17th elections, there were a lot of talk about money dollars stashed away in other bank accounts, like Dubai for an example, Seychelles for an example. Where is this money? Can't they find it? Is it difficult? Or what exactly was this talk about the money that was stashed away in other bank accounts?
I think looking back, those statements also appear to be part of the rhetorics that we are used to, just rhetorics, and part of the political statements that were made just to invite the attention of the people, focus on issues that the people will be interested to know when they are a bit hidden, and also when they sound to be a little more sort of unseen things. People have an interest to find out what exactly is going to happen. So there's a tendency to focus their attention on those things. So politicians make use of those. Therefore, they make such statements. But today, from what has happened, we know they are just statements meaning nothing. They have not been able to deliver anything on those lines, at least to prove the veracity of their statements. So therefore, let it be at that. Those are only, I look at them as just some other statements that have been made without any foundation or basis.
We saw establishments like the Presifac being instituted and established by the President. We saw the FCID being implemented and established under the direction of the Prime Minister. But what have they really been able to bring to light, and what have they really been able to tell the people of the country on the decisions that they took before?
I think when we look at the FCID, it's a very sad state of affairs. They were saddled with so many things, domestic issues. I don't think they have had any time to focus on the issues of Seychelles or Dubai or any other place, accounts or anything like that. I mean, from the reports
they went to Dubai, and then they were returned back to the country saying that they don't have the necessary legal verifications to go out and get the money.
They have gone there in a very sort of a unprofessional way, and then go and approach the countries where they have been refused and rejected. Go back. We don't act on requests like that. I mean, that was the reaction that we got. Very unfortunate.
Mr. Nikon, it's very simple. The UNP is known to be a party that has a very sound legal background. But this very party is getting everything wrong at the moment. You saw the VAT, for an example. The Supreme Court ruling out saying, no, you cannot charge the VAT without a proper cabinet paper and the signatures. Then you saw the FCID, for an example, that you said. Can the UNP really rule this country?
The UNP that the people have used to as a party with very conservative policies is different from the UNP that we see today. You see, they had very big, important experts handling finances in this country, looking into revolutionary changes in the economic field in this country, which we have witnessed. But nothing of the sort is happening now. So it may be a question of the leadership of the UNP. Now we have seen Ronnie DeMels, we have seen Jaya Javadanas, we have seen even that person, Mr. Premadas, for that matter. A very pragmatic person who focused on domestic issues in a very, very active manner, which was appreciated by the whole world, recognized it. So that was the economics of the UNP. But what do they have today? They are thinking of very big projects, they are thinking of huge investments when they can't balance the budget in the country. They have failed to look into the internal economics of this country. They have failed to put the resources together in the country that should be put together in a crisis situation like this. They have failed to stop the wasteful expenditure in the country. They have contributed towards the wasteful expenditure in the country. They are contributing towards that at the moment, like what you said, appointing agents to canvass the opinion for the country, to build up the image of the country, spending millions of dollars. So this is what is happening in the UNP.
Do you think that the UNP should be restructured, at least now?
I don't know why I should say that the UNP should be restructured. If the UNP is doing the wrong thing, we must restructure somebody else who can do that.
Thank you very much,
Let them be.
Mr. Pinnacle, for your thoughts as well. Before I open the floor for questions from our journalist, a quick question to Mr. Azad Saleh. You were attached to the United National Party. You were the deputy mayor of Colombo for some time as well. Do you think that the UNP should be restructured?
Actually speaking, they must have very clear-cut policies. They must treat everybody equally. I mean, you have people who can't take 5 votes, have been given national list, and then go and sign agreements with parties, with countries, trying to promote Sri Lanka. Why all this? Sri Lanka is now known by everybody. LTT has made us known to the whole world, and everybody was having problem with the Sri Lankan government for the last 9 years. Now everybody is supportive of the Sri Lankan government. You saw when President Maithripala Sirisena went for the conference, how the world leaders came up to the president and congratulated him. So why you need another exposure? Why you need to spend so much of money to build Sri Lanka's image? Not necessary. Sri Lanka's image is good now. Everybody wants to come into Sri Lanka, but we don't know how to welcome them.
Ms. Saleh, again, before putting the questions to our journalist, a very quick question to you again. Ms. Saleh, you see the present joint opposition. They don't seem to have a proper leader at the moment. They are hanging around a defeated leader. An individual who was the president of the country, and now he contested from the Kurunegala district, was appointed as a parliamentarian, and most of the joint opposition members are rallying around this particular individual. In the defense of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, there may not be a leader in the United National Party to take over the post after him.
No,
do you think so?
There are a lot of leaders who are ready to take over. You would have seen the UNP's crisis right throughout. Everybody witnessed it, how it happened, how Mr. Rajapaksa was very close with the UNP in helping Ranil Wickremesinghe become the leader of the UNP, and how roads were tarred during that period. Sirikota was tarred during the crisis situation. So this is why people are accusing the UNP at this moment. That is why that the UNP is now looking after Rajapaksa and looking after all their cases. This is the accusation that people have. This is not what we are saying. People are saying this is what the Rajapaksa did to the UNP, and UNP in return is looking after Rajapaksa boys. That is why they go for into custody just for 1 week, or they go to the National Hospital straight to the merchant ward. You see, that is why we said let the court give an order that Basil Rajapaksa should be sent not to remand prison but straight to the merchant ward. Because
we're talking about gentleman politics. We saw what happened to in
not
Britain
only that,
recently.
before I forget,
Yes.
Prime Minister made another statement in Parliament when Vimal Veeramansa disturbed him. What did he say? Tamunnansira umuna una mawa eka velawaka. So that means I saved you. In other words, the Prime Minister very openly said in Parliament, I am the person who saved you. So today, if you go to the Negombo prison, you can see thousands of young boys and girls held up there for what? For just doing a small alteration on their passport. Here a person who has so many passports, so many birth certificates, so many identity cards being released by the Prime Minister, and he accepts it.
We talk about gentleman politics, Mr. Saleh. We saw what happened in Britain a couple of months ago. David Cameron resigning after the referendum in Britain. We saw Gordon Brown doing the same thing when he lost as the Prime Minister to David Cameron a couple of years ago. Can we take a cue from that?
We will never take. We don't have that caliber of politicians in this country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saleh. I open the floor for questions from our journalists. Let's start off with Zulfikar.
Thanks, Shamik. My question is to you, Mr. Saleh, but before that I would like to touch on a few things that were said by Mr. Nissanka and Mr. Kusripala. Mr. Nissanka, you said that there's a political elite that is in this country, and Mr. Kusripala, you said there's corruption taking place in this country with different faces. It's 19 months, Mr. Saleh, since the new government was elected. Is this change? If the same corruption is taking place under a different phase, is it change?
See, actually it was a change. On 8th of January it was a change, but subsequently the president had no other option. One is that he never expected to be the leader of the SLP. He became the leader of the SLP. To keep the party going, to have the control of the party, he had no other option but to bring back all the rogues into the system, and half of which are with so much of allegation. Not that President Maithripala Sirisena liked it, but he had no other option. He had to bring them. So now the cabinet is full of them, and half of it are people who are with big cases which are not taking place today. This is why I say everybody must be looked alike. So then the entire judiciary system, now you can remember how the joint opposition were accusing the judiciary system, right? Earlier you saw when the Chief Justice gave the order on the Samurthy, what happened? She was thrown out, a no confidence motion. She was thrown out. But here, Chief Justice is giving order against the VAT. He remains the Chief Justice of this country. Nobody criticizes him. This is what the judiciary is independent. But now, Namal Rajapaksa says, we still have respect for the judiciary. Because he is released, he talks that we have respect for the judiciary. It is that independence is there, but they are taking us in and out every time. Why are they taking? For instance, just see, why are they taking? One lady comes and says, somebody came, gave me a bag of gems. Next day that person came with so many gunny bags of money. He told, give me the gems I gave you, here is the money. So you buy land all over the place. You are so filthy rich. These are stories being told. And you mean to say the judiciary is going to accept those things? Can anybody say like that? Now the Prime Minister says, Mahinda Rajapaksa gave gold for his weight. Definitely should be around 150 kilos. Mahinda's weight should be at least 150 kilos. So from where the money came? So many Carlton branches, so many Carlton, in the name of Carlton, so many organizations. In the name of Namal Rajapaksa, there is a law firm. So where all this money came? Why don't you put one case to the family? Who was responsible? Why aren't the government touching Mr. Rajapaksa and Mrs. Rajapaksa is my question. Why aren't they touching them? See, why are you harassing the children? Who allowed the children to rob the country? The father and mother. Nobody else. If the father had been strict, if the mother had been strict, the children won't be robbing the country. So now, the children are being harassed, children are going and coming, seeing prison and coming every week. The father and mother going in official vehicles, visiting the children, taking apple and distributing. They are enjoying. Another luxury house where Maithripala Sirisena lived, at Vijayarama Mahavatta being given to the president. You must remove his civic rights.
That's a very undemocratic statement.
Why?
You make, Mrs. Ali.
My dear, if Sirimao Bandaranaike's civic rights were removed, for what reason? H.M. Fauzi, my former minister, his civic rights were removed for what? A tap on the road.
But democracy has prevailed. Just because
the tap on the road was shifted to the garden for the convenience of the people. Civic right was removed. Here, you have robbed the country. You have robbed the country. Your family has robbed the country. How many billions? How much of money in foreign accounts? Everybody knows it. Not that you don't know. You know it.
But Mr. Saleh,
What
no
are you
one
doing?
can show it.
Nothing.
You say everybody knows it, but no one can show it.
No, they went no. As everybody said, we also told that in Dubai, not that the money is not there, money is there. But you come with the proper person. Correct, no?
Mr.
Now
Nico,
see,
Mr. Nico, in
one
your
minute,
opinion,
since I am also a banker, right? You first, what have you to do? Okay, how much of money is there? Who is the account holder? You must get hold of the account holder first. You have to question him. From there you have to get the whole thing from the horse's mouth. Then you go for the investigation.
Mr.
This
Saleh,
person-
until proven guilty by a court of law, Mahinda Rajapaksa or anyone else for that matter is innocent.
Of course.
That's a universal law. You can't change that.
See,
And we can't accuse anybody.
Nobody is going to say that. But what we are saying, we can see everything. See, can you tell a president of this country as a TV station? Tell me. Any president of this country, be it from president from J.R. Javadana,
Ranasinghe Premadasa, D.B. Wijayatunga, V.R. Chandrika Kumar, did their families own a TV station?
These
Mr.
are
Sali,
all.
we are running short of time, so I want to get involve some of the other speakers as well. Mr. Tennakoon, I want to ask you about, we were talking about the dissatisfaction with the government over the past year, or past 19 months, as was correctly mentioned. You were talking in the first round, in your opening remarks, you mentioned looking at it in retrospect. Shouldn't we be looking at it in comparison with expectations rather than retrospect? Because it's cause and effect, right? That was the cause. The effect was we changed the government. So rather than the current government continuing to look at the previous cause, shouldn't they now look at the cause that they have become and try and prevent the effect that will probably happen?
Yeah. I like to start with a small correction there. You know, when I said retrospect, I didn't mean in retrospect to look at the previous government. What I said was from this time to the time that this government was elected. My retrospect period was confined to that period, not to go beyond that. Because I don't believe in this talk about, talking all the time about Mahinda Rajapaksa, his sons, his wife, and his accumulating of wealth. We have had enough of it. We have heard enough of this.
But
we don't want to hear it anymore. We only want to see proof of it, not to hear. What is happening today is, instead of giving the proof, they keep on telling, keep on talking, and that diverts all of us from our attention and focus. Exactly. And we, like fools, we keep on talking about Mahinda Rajapaksa without talking about the rogues they are playing out the country today.
Mr. Nisaka, you're a lawyer. What do you see as the biggest problems in finding this proof? If, as Mr. Sali says, if everyone knows it, then why can't we show it? Where's the proof? Is it a problem with law enforcement? Is it a problem with the Attorney General's department? Where's the problem? Because clearly, if everyone knows it and no one can show it, then there must be a problem in the legal system. Do you think that there's a problem in the legal system?
Yeah, there is a problem in the system because these frauds or these corruptions are very, they have done very shrewdly. You see, they have done these things very shrewdly, and even the bureaucrats around these matters, right? They are still in favor of them.
When you say bureaucrats, are you referring to the Attorney General's department or the
yes,
police?
including the Aegis department, as well as the higher rank of the police, right? That is one of the problems. And the matters are, you see, if they have deposited money in some other country, you see, the particular country or bank, they should also give cooperation for the investigations, right? So these matters are a bit complicated. So it takes time also.
But how much time does it take, Mr. Nisaka? It's already been 19 months. And some of these cases were filed, some of these investigations were commenced more than a year ago. Before the August 17 parliamentary election.
Yes.
I mean, you've seen cases.
Maybe other interference, as Mr. Asad Sali said. Maybe that some other politically powerful people must be trying to
Deals behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Mr. Tennakoon, Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. It takes time for justice to be meted out, as correctly pointed out by our lawyer here. Onto my left, it takes time. Until you are proven guilty, you cannot accuse anyone. So it does take time. It is justifiable to take time, isn't it?
Yeah. We are waiting till the Rome is built, no doubt. But we don't want to just keep quiet till the Rome is built. We want to build it fast. That is what we are doing.
We want results. We want results.
We want something to happen in that building process. If the building process does not happen, talking about Rome was built.
You can't see bricks being taken and efforts are being made. Genuine efforts are being made.
It's very slow. Too slow to appreciate. Too slow to appreciate.
Mr. Gunawardena,
too slow to believe. Too slow to accept.
Mr. Gunawardena, you said at the beginning of this program that you can be satisfied with the progress of this administration over the past year. Are you still satisfied having listened to the views of the gentleman on your right and the two gentlemen on your left? Are you still satisfied? Do you think that, don't you think that there are problems with the taxation policy of this government, with its economic governance, its social governance, even with regard to the judiciary and law enforcement? Don't you see problems? When you see problems like these gentlemen have raised, how can you be satisfied?
I see these problems, but still I will say I am satisfied, because that we have been campaigning for these issues since 2009. When we started Platform for Freedom, it was against Rajapaksa regime, which was more powerful. We saw that there's going to be a deterioration of the freedoms, rule of law and democracy. So we have been campaigning for abolition of the executive presidency, bringing back independent commissions, which was actually became paralyzed after the 18th Amendment, addressing the national question and making reconciliation to this country.
As Mr. Nisanka pointed out earlier, as he also accepted earlier, that in his opinion, we are moving towards once again a system of crony capitalism. This is the same model that civil society organizations such as yours, such as various civil society organizations, alleged about the previous government as well. Crony capitalism. So is it same thing, crony capitalism? It's just that it's a different set of
Will you pardon me for a second?
Yes, Mr. Nikon.
We have a very good example here. During Mr. Rajapaksa's time, there have been agitations and still they are surviving.
You are referring to Mr.
Despite the fact that they were agitating against the dictatorial government.
Okay.
I'm very happy to hear that.
A few are still existing.
So I think I must address that statement, because we have been live, because that we were fortunate.
Yeah.
And Lasantha Wickrematunge was not that fortunate. And Pradeep Eknarigoda was not that fortunate.
Your studio was
so your studio was not fortunate. And number of your journalists also had to flee because of these threats. So when you say that we were fortunate, I think we all were fortunate because we saw.
I just want to correct you there, Mr. Sudarshan Gunawardena. You said that a number of journalists, are referring to MTV, or our journalists do not fear to report on the truth, or nor have we gone overseas to seek asylum.
I know.
Not from the MBC group.
Yeah, yes. I'm not saying that your journalists flee the country, but
I'm
had
just
to
correcting
had
you.
to take leave for some time. I know certain cases they had to take some leave because the pressure was so much. Nobody left the country in the sense, but they had to take leave and just I know personally that some people got problems, some got threats and all. But they were fearless. They just have been campaigning. So I have hats off.
Mr. Gunawardena, if you look at the progression in the previous government, the nepotism and the cronyism, these allegations of nepotism and cronyism, that only came later.
Yeah.
When you look at this government, do you see a similar progression? Is the progression the same? Because now, a year in, we are getting the allegations of nepotism, of cronyism. So is it, whether it's green or blue, you're still going to have the same model, it's just that the set of cronies is going to change?
No, I see the cronyism is inbuilt in the system. Even during Jayawardhan time, some people were accused that they supported cronies. So now also we see the situation. What I am looking at is that to change, you need to change the structure. So we are looking at changing the structure, that is the constitution. So we are looking at changing the structure, that is the mechanism for reconciliation. We are looking at the changing of the economic structure. So therefore, I look at the broader picture. Of course, there are issues, there are cronyism, we have to raise these issues. But I would not want to lose sight of the major picture. Why we wanted to change? We wanted a fundamental change in the structure. So I think we are going towards that. So I agree with you, there are issues and we need to fight. But this is not the only issue. We have to see the fundamental structure. Because for the fact that a new constitution has been in the offing with the participation of more parties, for me it's more important than individual issue of cronyism. I'm looking at the broader picture.
Mr.
Yeah.
Tennakoon, you use a great deal of rhetoric and you're very vocal about your dissatisfaction about certain aspects of the current government. You say that politics should go beyond the politician. As a civil activist, as a senior banker, how do you suppose you could contribute in this process? Because as you know, it can't be done with just a section of the society. It needs a multi-stakeholder mechanism. So how could you contribute? That's my first question. And my second is the central bank bond controversy, which has created a great deal of debate in Sri Lanka. It just goes to the English-speaking communities, but beyond that, it doesn't reach the masses. The masses don't understand the intricacies of the concept. So how do we resolve this?
I think what you are doing right now is a little bit of what we should do or what we should initiate in this direction. But this is just the start. The alerting of the masses, the alerting of the people who are interested, the civic society, the people who are interested in bringing about a just society should go on, and it's a long process, I agree, but initiation must take place, and this is a start. The media has to play the most dynamic role. In fact, you have played it and you have proven your success. What happened to the Rajapaksa regime? How was it changed? I think it is not because that somebody came forward. It is because the activists were behind it. It is because you all gave the momentum to it, the support to it from the media to the extent that was possible. So therefore, that was a good start. That is how we should continue even under the present regime. We should not be complacent that we have brought about a change. We are all waiting till Godot comes, till something happens. That should not be our motive. About the central bank issue and taking it to the people who are ignorant of what has happened, I am in full agreement with you, because this is one of the biggest frauds that have taken place in this country. The amount wise, ethically, the volume, the importance of it is beyond any other recorded fraud in this country. Therefore, it should reach the masses, and it has, to some extent, with your efforts, with the efforts of the other media stations, with the efforts of the journalists, it has reached to some extent. But that is not the limit to which we must go. We must carry it forward, because this is one instance where, if we trace the history step by step, it is a calculated, planned robbery that has been staged and that has come to light.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Asad Sali, my last question is to you. When do you think Sri Lanka will finally be ready to stop squabbling, stop pointing fingers, and finally look at policy?
Actually, we were expecting that from this government.
Has it happened?
No, it can't happen. It's not happening. The thing is that we thought with good governance coming in, everything is going to be very transparent. Everybody will know what is happening. Right to information? Yes, you have it. But where? Courts, how the courts functioning, how the banks functioning, how individual ministries are functioning, everything should be made open. People must know what is happening. Here what is happening, who is deciding? The minister decides. You saw Honorable Lakshman Kiriyala making a statement in Parliament. Mind the Rajapaksa appointed 250 people. So why I can't appoint 150 people? Is this what we wanted? Is this a change that we expected? Can you allow somebody to appoint people to pay 65,000 rupees in a vehicle? 98 coordinators, 68 consultants. I thought the Honorable Prime Minister will get up. When that question was raised by JVP, I thought the Honorable Prime Minister will get up and say, yes, it is a wrong thing. Good governance will not approve it. I will see that all this is cancelled. But I was, to my surprise, the Prime Minister just sat as he was. So these are things that we are today suffering. The people of the country expected a big change and nothing has happened. This is why I am saying the good governance is not working. I mean, whatever because we as people who campaigned, who went and addressed meetings, today the masses are asking us this question and we are unable to answer.
Mr. Tennakoon, my question to you is, Now, Sri Lanka's national debt is going higher and higher, and there are accusations that the current government is also borrowing in a much higher way. Are we carrying the sins of the past forward? And if we are, how long will it take us to wash away those sins?
To some extent, yes, we are carrying the sins, we are expiating for the sins of the past, to some extent. But that's not the answer to the issue. We can't be telling that, this country was indebted because of the actions of these people. How long are we going to say this? We have to put an end to that. That is what we are looking forward from this government. Not to keep on saying that this has happened, we are expiating for somebody's sins.
So if the government is not doing it, who do you expect to do the heavy lifting? Who is going to do this heavy lifting?
The government should go if they are not doing it. No one else can be expected to do that. This government is not exploring the possibilities of alternatives to borrowing. I am making that accusation direct. I am making that accusation. There are various things that you can focus on and look into. Instead of borrowing, instead of begging, there are certain things depending on our resources and looking at internally in a more positive way for us to rectify this situation. They are not focusing, they are only thinking of very big pictures, megapolises, cities in the sea, and huge projects that we can't imagine of, depending on our own economy and the money and the availability of funds. We are thinking beyond. We are not thinking what we should do immediately, within our means, within our resources. That is the fault of this government. That is what we are telling the government to please look inside, look inwards and see what else can you do instead of accusing people for the past.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tendakon. That's it for the 4 rounds that we have on board. We're going for a short commercial break, and then it's the final round. It's all this and more right here on this next. Welcome back. This is Face the Nation. We start off the final round with Mr. Kamal Nisanka, General Secretary of the Liberal Party. We spoke of the past, Mr. Nisanka. What is the future?
Future is bleak when you think about the economy of the country, because if you analyze the past 1 year, I see that the government does not have a monetary policy. That is that a few months ago the finance minister said that the duty-free vehicles for the government servants as well as the politicians would not be given. Then about 3 or 4 months back, with a gazette notification, again they issued it. And there is no restriction to sell those vehicles to a third party. And that is that. There is no monetary policy. So the government has to have a monetary policy first. Then there are 2 disastrous budgets. One is in the 100-day programs, I think. Yes, 2 disastrous. There was a fiscal deficit was there. So they are unable to fill this. Then what happened to the rupee? Depreciation of rupee, we know that according to some of the economists, by 2020 the dollar will be about 170 rupees. Then the huge debt trap. You know, as at present, the GDP of the country is equal, to take the 2015 GDP is equal to the debt deficit. So and also some of the policies, the salary increase, 10,000 rupees salary increase, and some reductions. As you see, the fuel, although they may be popular steps, but yet when you take the macroeconomy, the macroeconomic policy is in crisis.
Thank you very
That is the crisis of this government. So somebody must come up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanka, for your thoughts on the final round. I now move my attention to Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardana, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. Mr. Gunawardana, interesting remarks were made by all four of you in terms of the past 19 months. The future seems bleak, that is according to Mr. Kamal Nisanka. There is no consistent policy for this government. What is really the way forward for Sri Lanka?
Yeah, the problem is that on the 8th of January, there was a consensus on that we need to rebuild democracy. I think all the parties who contributed, and organization contributed, agreed on that. But when it comes to reconciliation, there was no consensus. That's why it's lagging behind. Now only we are actually moving forward. The first step was to establish OMP. And third one is economy, third pillar. Economy, also there is no consensus. Even this consensus government, the two parties are not on the same page on various aspects. That's very natural because two parties represent two different ideologies. So therefore, I see some problem. I don't see a coherent policy. But future definitely lies on the fact that we need to make some correct decisions. Now we have become an indebted nation. Our income is almost close to the debt repayment. So we have to earn and repay debts. So we have to get more loans. Now therefore this standby agreement came with the IMF with 1.5 billion. What we need to do for the future is we need to increase our production. When we increase our production only, we can have, that's a GDP will increase, so then there will be more national income. At the moment it's in between 10% to 12%. It has to be increased at least up to 18%. So to do that, more production is needed. To do more production, you need to bring in the capital, also the entrepreneurship from outside. Also we must explore new markets. So therefore, I think one is to actually bring more capital in, then provide the infrastructure, land and also labor. We train new labor, skilled labor. At the moment we are lacking. And we have a huge public sector that is almost 1.4 million. So we have to see that. And also we have to explore new markets. I think with the GSP Plus, we will have access to the European Union market. That's one of the largest markets in the world. So with that, I think future lies in developing economy, developing industries and actually creating more jobs and exporting. So that's how I look at it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardana, convener of the Platform for Freedom organization. Mr. Rishabal Tandakon, you are not that bullish about the country's future. You were somewhat very upset and disappointed the way in which this government is moving forward. If you are to advise the government, and if you are told to do it in 2 minutes, what would be your response?
You're asking me to do something which is very unlikely would happen, but anyway, I would say, I would just like to divert my attention onto a different subject on this issue. I was just listening to a conversation, a report of a conference that was held in Singapore yesterday or day before about the diaspora in world different countries, the diaspora situation. You know, I learnt some very important things from that listening to that conference. You know, India today has about 1% of the population of the United States is Indians. And of that population, a very large percentage belongs to the high elite, educated, high income generating people. You know, India has been doing this for some time, and as a government,
today, and I also heard something very interesting. Out of every 7 people who go to a doctor in USA, at least one will have to go to an Indian doctor. I am telling this with authority, having listened to this conference. You can just see the amount of focus or the strength that they have as diaspora in other countries. And now the government of India is taking various steps to solicit their cooperation for the future of India. They are taking various measures, extending lots of facilities to the Indians who are working overseas. Just to conclude, in relation to our situation, now our second highest income generation for this country, foreign exchange earner, is the money earned by our expatriates who are working overseas. Has this government done anything to improve or to develop or to increase their remittance factor into this country? This is the second highest exchange earner. So these are areas where we are lacking focus. I mean, if we give them some incentive for our own people who are working overseas to make their remittances twofold or increase it with some incentive, I am sure we can reduce our begging to that extent from other countries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibal Tennakoon. Some food for thought, obviously, tonight for you. We now move our attention to Mr. Azad Sali, leader of the National Unity Alliance. Mr. Sali was also the former Deputy Mayor of Colombo. Mr. Sali, where is really Sri Lanka heading? In a few months, where do you see Sri Lanka? Do you think we would be in an upward trajectory moving forward, or is this government going to be pulling its feet to the finishing line in a few months?
See, I don't see such a big change coming, because the way the government has been moving is very slow, and it is not up to the expectation that we all had. And I think the government is also having a problem. Today it's a government with lot of other parties, but it is for the betterment of the country. This national government can do a lot, unlike other previous governments, because today you don't have an opposition. You have a so-called joint opposition, which is just hardly 30-35 people. You don't need to worry about them. You have the leader of the opposition and their party supporting. You have the JVP supporting at the right time. They supported the cause of Maithripala Sirisena also. So you have more than 2/3 of the parliament supporting you. So this is the best opportunity that ever any prime minister or the president has got. So if they can't make use of this, they will never be using it. So it is best for them to focus where we are heading for, what we should be doing, what are our priorities. These are things that they must think. They must do a lot. They can do, not that they can't do, they can do, but they are not doing it. This is where we think that this change has not happened. The change should happen from the beginning, from day one. If they had started, by now with these 19 months, we would have seen a lot of things. Now see, what are they saying? Customs Department revenue has increased. They said, why? A special unit by the Finance Ministry has put, and they are raiding. After the custom releases, they are going and raiding. So much of heroin is getting caught by that special unit, by the Finance Ministry. So why? Where is the corruption then? The entire customs is corrupt. If that is the case, if the Finance Ministry is going and doing their job, they are corrupt. Then what is the way to eradicate that? You have to have a method how this customs is going to work, how this other organizations, how the ministries will work, how to reduce the expenditure, how to feed the people. Today when I saw your news, I have so much of disheartening. Missing persons, they are having an office. But the lady is coming and crying, saying our children are not there, our husband is not there, we have no way of living, nobody is looking after us, nothing to eat. Somebody has to come to their rescue. This government will have to make a list of those people and see what is their income, what do they have. Janasavya should be gone and given there. Every year we want to increase Janasavya. We are the people who are...
Very quickly before we wrap up.
We are the people who are putting these people, don't work. Janasavi will look after you. No,
Ms.
this
Ali,
is no.
you
You
were-
will put a stop to this Janasavi.
Ms. Ali, you were a former deputy governor,
Mayor.
deputy mayor of the Colombo Municipal Council at one point. The council elections are being postponed. Do you see the elections happening anytime soon?
No,
It's not going to happen.
this year is out.
They say it's out.
It's out.
Will it happen even next year
Next
through
year, I think
electoral reform?
I think May, June. The Prime Minister made a statement in Parliament
Right.
before the Sinhala New Year. I will see that elections will be held.
Under the
But-
new electoral system?
No, he never said anything.
Yeah.
New or old, elections will be held by the Sinhala New Year. But
Right.
now that also has not happened.
On-
It
on-
won't
on-
happen because
On a lighter note, Mr. Salih, would you be contesting the polls, at least this time around? There is no nationalist seats in the post
I think
of mayor
I
or
told you
deputy
last
mayor.
time also, future election with the electoral change is not going to be SLP or UNP. The good son of that area will be elected to power.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salih, for your thoughts as well in the final round. Thank you very much, Mr. Azad Salih. Thank you very much, Mr. Sudarshana Gunawardana. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal Nisanka, as well as Mr. Risipal Tendako. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, Nadim. Thank you very much, Sonali, and thank you very much, Zulfi, for joining us this evening as well. On the 9th of January last year, 2015, we made a pledge to you during our presidential election campaign. We said that we will be your eyes and ears, and we will stand by you today and the future. And that pledge stands tall today. The people's right, the people's supremacy will reign supreme in this country. Remember that it's you who voted in the government. It's you who voted in a new president. It's you who voted in a new coalition government. It's you at heart for us here at News First, for us here at MTV and NBC. It's you who comes as our top priority when we report and when we host shows like this. It's you. I leave you tonight with a quote. Let us never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not government ministers, not the president, nor the prime minister, but the voters of a particular country. Remember, take care and good night.